Hey friends, today I have an incredible interview for you on how to become a better Instagram drummer with my good friend Siros Vaziri, who came all the way over here from Sweden back in January. Siros has over 95,000 Instagram followers, so he knows what he's talking about. Now, this is just a clip of the interview. If you want to listen to the entire hour-long conversation, make sure to check it out on my podcast, the Drum Beats Podcast. You can check that out in the link in the description below for Apple Podcasts or for Google Play. But now here's a clip of my conversation with Siros Vaziri. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. And
nice. You? I'm doing great. I'm super stoked that you are here.
Awesome.
Sitting next to me. I'm trying to raise my seat as much as I can to make me not look really small next to you.
I tried to lower mine.
It didn't work.
It didn't go any lower.
I could raise it a little bit. I don't know if this is better. So, okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about Instagram and the amazingness that is Siros Vaziri on Instagram. So when you first started making videos, or when you first started like planning on making videos, right? You're like, okay, I want to pursue drumming.
Yeah.
I'm going to start making videos. Did you have like a specific approach where you're like, okay, like, were you just like, I just want to film myself playing drums and that's it? Or did you have like specific ideas that you wanted to get out there? Like you have, your fill of the day. Yeah. That is really picked up. Like, did you have that idea from the beginning, or what did that process look like as soon as you started?
When I first started, I didn't have a plan. Again, make a name for myself. Well, the only thing that's in my head.
That's great.
So I figured, okay, I made my social media pages, and it's funny. I was so reluctant to make an Instagram page. Like I didn't want Instagram because I had this idea of Instagram is just for girls posting selfies and food. it's like what do I need an Instagram? It was like that. Yeah. And on the opposite, like Twitter was something I was more excited about than Instagram. And then very soon I realized like Instagram is awesome, Twitter sucks. I'm not gonna do Twitter. So just to answer your question, when I started, I just posted whatever.
Okay.
I posted a couple of pictures. I always, that's the one thing that always has kind of been like the as we say in Sweden, is like the red thread. I don't know if that's actually a saying here, but like the thread that guides everything, the one thing that holds everything together. That for me has always been just posting my progress, if that makes sense. So in the beginning, it made sense to post pictures of my new gear, setting up, getting started, what that was like. Just an honest insight into my everyday life. And then the first videos I posted were just like I was just playing, whatever I could. And for me, that process was very quick. Like within just a couple of weeks, I just out of fun, like I got this idea, like okay, let's do a mini series, 3 days of what I was going to call lick of the day, and that's what it started with.
Okay.
So I just came up with this format, which you'll recognize because it's very similar to what I do today, which is that back then Instagram was just 15 seconds,
yeah.
So I had 15 seconds to come up to play a lick or a fill or whatever. The line is very blurred, but a lick.
Sure.
Play it slow, play it fast, and play it in a groove. And in 15 seconds, that's a very tight time frame. Yeah. So I just played it once, played it fast, and then like one bar a groove with the lick at the end.
Yeah.
That's all I had time for. That was the format, and I just wanted to do that for 3 days. That was the idea, like a real mini series.
Yeah.
And after day 3, I was like, this is cool. Like this was an enjoyable format, and people seem to enjoy it. So I was like, okay, let's keep doing it. Ended up doing 50 days
in a row.
Yeah. I skipped maybe 1 or 2, but I did like 50 days in a row.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, I branded myself. This is my thing. Let's keep doing this. Yeah. And that lick of the day turned into fill of the day, turned into groove of the day, turned into both, turned into yada yada. And to this day, I'm still like the fill guy. Yeah. Although now I still call it lick of the day because it's like it's supposed to be a thing you can learn in a day,
Sure.
But I don't actually post it every day anymore because I don't saturate it like that.
Yeah.
It actually gets way more exposure and makes more sense if I just post like one every week or something. And because now that I actually make a living from drums, there's so many other stuff. And again, the red thread, I want to actually give people insight into what my life is like. So now that I'm here in the US, I don't have a lot of fill of the day videos stocked up that I post every day. I post pictures and videos from my trip.
Like, what would you say was the hardest part when you first started? Like, was it like figuring out all the technical things of like how to actually make and edit a video, or was it like a mental barrier where you're like keep putting out videos and you look at them and you're like, I suck, I want to stop doing this? Like, what was the hardest part for you?
It's funny how that has changed, because in the beginning it was definitely a lot of that, like figuring out how do I make my content fit, especially with 15 seconds on Instagram. Like, how do I make it fit? How do I figure what type of videos do people enjoy? What type of videos do I enjoy? What's my strength? What's my weaknesses? How do I record? Like, how does mixing work? How does miking work? All of that was brand new. And that was really the main part of the struggle in the beginning. But then, actually keeping up and doing stuff was not so mentally challenging, because I enjoyed it. It wasn't always. I always had something new to learn, something to do. So I was busy. It was not hard to figure stuff out in that sense. Figure myself out. It was more like it's more about the gears, more about the format, especially video format, and just figuring out what type of videos do I enjoy and what makes sense. What can I deliver well. But then that has gradually shifted. So now it's more like the mental part of it is huge. Like, it's the number one thing about everything I do is just like coping with it. Because I'm sorry.
You're gonna cry. I know. It's really emotional.
No, it's fun. It's always fun. But it comes to this point where now, I know how to record. I know I have my little procedure for setting up and for recording, and I know how to mix, and I'm enjoying myself working on my drum sound. And it's like I have that in the box. Like, I know I've figured out what kind of drummer I am, what kind of person I am online, what kind of stuff I want to focus on for the most part. And we were talking a little bit about this yesterday. Like, sometimes you're just like, who am I? Like, identity crisis, And I've had that so many times, just kind of rebooting. Like, okay, I'm gonna start fresh. I'm just gonna screw everything. I'm doing this now, and I'm gonna figure myself out. Like,
I feel like I do that like once or twice a year.
I was gonna say once or twice a week.
Great,
maybe not that bad, but that definitely does still happen a lot. Where I just kind of, what am I really trying to do here? Who am I?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I feel like the perception a lot of the times for people on the outside, when they look at someone who is quote unquote super successful or has quote made it or whatever, whatever people assign to that with a specific audience size or whatever. And I feel like people look at those people and think like, man, they probably feel super confident in everything they're doing. They probably feel amazing. Like, they have this huge audience. They're putting out great content. They probably feel awesome about it. When, at least if I'm speaking from my own personal thoughts, man, like 80% of the time I put out a video, like, I get like anxiety. Like, as soon as I post it, I'm like, I wish I could just delete it right now. Like, and sometimes more than others. Like, sometimes like I'll put out a video and I'm like, this is a great video. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited for people to see it.
That's
and then
the best.
Anyway, all that to say, like, there is like a bit of like a mental self-confidence thing that you always have to be like aware of and know, like, people like we're always like our harshest critics. And I feel like a lot of times that stops people from putting out anything in the first place. Where they'll like make a video and they're just like, I just hate it, I don't want to put it out. But it's so objective, like if you show it to someone else, they'd be like, oh, that's a great video.
It's all in our head a lot of times. It's just like we are our hardest critic. So it's like, you can hate a video, but it's like you said, to someone else, it might be objectively, they'll think it's a great video. And so a lot of times it's just a matter of just put it out. Like, you'll learn something from it.
Totally.
Especially if you do put out a video that you go afterwards like, that wasn't, I don't like it. You have an opportunity to think, why don't I like it?
Exactly.
What about this do I not enjoy? Was it my playing? Was it the format? Was it the mix? Like, what the angle? And then that you can learn from. But if you just make a video and just throw it in the trash and never post it and never get any feedback either, you're gonna keep looping around and making that same mistake over and over. So it's better to just post everything. Like, as long as it's not as like a catastrophic video. But if you post a video that you have to, I think that's very important in general. Like, now we're sidetracking a little bit, but stepping into the shoes of your audience is very important, especially with this kind of stuff. Like, you just have to distance yourself from yourself. I think, like, if I was another drummer scrolling through my feed and I saw this video, would this be cool?
Yeah.
Like, stop thinking about like, oh, I know I can do better or yada yada, because no one else knows that. No one else thinks like that. They just objectively see the video and they go, is this cool or is it not?
Yeah.
So it's important to put yourself in those shoes where you approach your content from a third person perspective and go like, is this good or is it not? And in that case, what can I work on?
Yeah.
And it's easy to just be too much in your head.
Yeah.
Just try to get out of your own head a little bit, and that will help.
Absolutely. And I mean, especially if you're trying to cater to your audience in general. I mean, you're posting videos for your audience.
Yeah.
So it's always good to step into their shoes and be like, okay, yeah, would they like it?
That's always also really take feedback to heart. Like when you hear someone says something about your video, like really think about why did they say that or what makes them say that, and how can you facilitate that to make your videos better.
Yep.
No matter if it's a good or a bad comment, there's always
Absolutely.
there is always value to every comment you get.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Immediately after I said, I was like, no, actually no.
So I wanted to talk to you about networking a little bit, because I've done interviews, especially on tour, and I've given insight on tour of what networking looks like on the road in the gigging world. It's a very tangible thing, and it can be as simple as, you're on tour, you make yourself available to go hang out with the other bands, and like you're just a friend to other people who are in your circle and who could eventually get you other gigs, get you better gigs. But it's like you're just making relationships with the people around you, because all those people have other relationships. Yeah. Online is a different world, Yeah. And we even talked about this, not even networking in terms of with people, but also like with companies. So for you, like you being here right now is a byproduct of online networking between us. So like, what is kind of your approach with that, whether it's with other drummers, people, or companies? Like, what does that look like in the online world?
We'll start with people. It really just comes down, for me, is just I try to reply to every message I get, and I reply to every comment. Not necessarily reply, again, the little top comment. Like I'm like, what? I won't even bother liking a comment like that. So if you out there, you watching this video right now, if you're that, this is now we're on. If you're, and we have a camera here too. If you're that guy, or if you're that guy who posts like the thumbs up or like a little arrow and you go top or something, I don't like you. No. Like, full disclosure, I get that you want to be supportive, but dude, you can at least write like good job or something. Like, what? That's okay. I mean, I still like you, but there are people I like more.
That was close, though.
There are people I like more than you. When it comes to comments, I try to reply to everyone. Like everyone that actually has a comment, like, hey, nice job, good video, drums sound awesome. I'll be like, hey, thanks, because I appreciate it. They take time. They take time out of their day to write something about me. I'll take time out of my day to reply back. It just makes sense. Messages too. I get so many messages all the time, and I try to reply to them. That in its own is a very strong form of networking, and it all just boils down to taking the time to reply.
All right, one last question. And this is kind of this is a pretty much a question that is a summation of everything that we've just said. Okay. But if you had advice to give to someone who wanted to build their own following, what would you kind of say to them?
If you want to start social media, you want to get out there and you want to grow and you want to do your thing, do your thing.
Yeah.
Set up a camera. Doesn't matter how shitty your gear is or how shitty your playing is. Make a video. You will learn something from it. Go back and say, okay, I learned this and that. Make it better next time. Do that every day. 3 years later, who knows where you are. Maybe you're here with Gabe shooting a podcast.
Heck yeah. Dude, those are amazing thoughts. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and pretty much just unpack all that. It's like there's so much value.
If you watch this podcast, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I try to reply to every message, every comment, unless you write top or what are you doing. I will reply. So looking forward to talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you again for being here, man. And
thank you for having me.
We will see you guys next time.
See you around.